Morning, Unitic here. I am in West Virginia. It's May the 15th. It's about 9 a.m. and I'm already knocked out about 6 miles this morning. I'm gonna try and keep this camera oriented so the sun's behind you. Don't accidentally blind you. I know I do that every now and then. But I do want to pan around and just show you real quick the mountains. Hopefully I'm capturing all that. It is hilly country. It is the mountaineer state, and it was a bit of a rude shock from the flatness of Delaware and Maryland. I got here two nights ago and did a 20-mile day yesterday on what we in the cycling community would call rollers. Just up and down road all day long. Nothing terribly long, but just repeated. No flat stretches to speak of. And getting ready to go vertical here in about another day. I'm gonna head up into the West Virginia highlands to Dolly Sods, which is a really incredible wilderness area. It's the southernmost example of a Canadian kind of rainforest ecosystem, and you can get wild weather up there. I've camped there in the summer and once in November, and they've recorded snow in the highlands of West Virginia every month of the year. So it's a great place to come visit when it's hot out, because you know it's going to be cooler. And right now it's fantastic. Yesterday it was sunny and 71, and so adapting pretty well. Feet are hurting. Blisters on my heels won't seem to go away, but after a mile or two in the morning, they get kind of deadened to the pain, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I was a little nervous about coming into West Virginia. I got kind of spoiled on the C&O Canal, where you could plan a fixed campsite every night with water and a latrine, a porta-can, picnic table, and you knew you had a place to stay every night. And in West Virginia, there are long stretches where it's going through farm country, rural country. It's all private property, so it's a little more unknown. But I had some amazing experiences with some trail angels in my first 24 hours that really put my mind at ease. I made it into this little town called Fort Ashby on the 13th, 2 days ago, and I got some supplies and ate a little something, headed out the other side hoping to find, maybe some quiet forested area where I could quietly camp and get up and go the next morning. And as I'm hiking about 4:30 in the afternoon, come across Charlie and his mom Betty on Baker Road. Shot a video with them on my phone that I'm going to upload when I get some Wi-Fi. And they had put a chair with cold water and a register out by the road. Charlie was working on the house when I came by, and he brought his mom out, and we had a nice visit. And they are trying to support the American Discovery Trail hikers that come through the area with some water and some local information. Betty gave me a delicious brownie. Thank you, Betty, if you see this. And boy, that was a great way to end that first day. It really put my mind at ease. I found a quiet campsite shortly thereafter, and next morning I got up and got an early start. 2 miles into my day, hiking through this beautiful West Virginia valley, and a school bus pulls up beside me, and I got to meet Phil. And Phil's a retired dairy farmer. He and my grandmother have that in common, so we had a fair amount to talk about. He'd actually met another Trail Journal writer, ADT hiker. Trail name is Wingard on trailjournals.com. The day before, I'm like a half a day behind Wingard, and turns out Wingard grew up on a dairy farm and got to meet Phil too. So Phil, thank you for your humor. You had me laughing all that morning. A little later, I was getting a little concerned because I was low on water. There really wasn't any place to get it unless you went and knocked on someone's door, and it just, I don't know, it still felt kind of intrusive to do that. And I was walking down what they called Knobley Road, and a gentleman pulls over in a driveway in a pickup truck, gets out and calls me by my trail name, Unitic. Are you Unitic? And it never kind of ceases to surprise me. It turns out this is Lawrence of Lawrence and Judy trail fame, ADT trail fame. They are true trail angels, retired school teachers with a lot of family, including Phil, it turns out, his family. And he and his wife and his nephew, who's a really progressive farmer, Lawrence was telling me some of the practices his nephew is putting into place on their farm. Beautiful farm. They've been helping hikers out this season and before, and two hikers I've been following on Trail Journals, Ryan C. and Amy A. Both stayed there with Lawrence and Judy, and I had read about their stays on their journals. Ryan got caught out in a pretty bad wet snowstorm because he started in March the 9th and got some rugged weather early on, and he stayed with Lawrence and Judy a couple of days, and they really bonded. Ryan's got a great journal, will keep you laughing, and what a great attitude he's got, just like Amy. Amy and Ryan have kind of bonded too. Ryan was a few weeks ahead of Amy, was giving her all kinds of good trail scouting, and Amy's got a fantastic journal, and she stayed with Lawrence and Judy. And if it had been later in the day, I would have taken them up on their kind offer and stayed for sure. We met about 10 a.m. or so, and I hung out with Lawrence for an hour. He took me down to his house, filled me up with water, gave me a delicious apple and some trail snacks, got to meet Judy. And then they gave me their cell phone number and generously offered that if I got into trouble later on in the day, had any issues, to give him a call, and Lawrence would drive out and help me out. Luckily, I had none. Their water load got me to the end of the day. I found a church with a little picnic area that had a water spigot and was able to find another quiet campsite. So 2 days in West Virginia, about 35 miles of the trail here, plus 6 this morning, so over 40 miles so far in the first couple of days, and doing good. Now the last interaction I wanted to share that happened yesterday was kind of an interesting contrast to my trail angel experiences, and this guy turned out to be a trail angel too. He just may not have recognized it. Any of you all that have checked my website out know how I feel about Peace Pilgrim and her travels across the country, doing 7 cross-country pilgrimage and covering untold thousands of miles over 28 years. Well, I had a hard time finding a place to take a break because it is all private property, and I'd covered another 6 or 7 miles after visiting with Lawrence and Judy. It was really dry and feet were hurting, so I just set my pack down by this. I'm going to pause this for just a second because we've got some dogs barking, and we'll come back with part 2.